Hello, I'm Dr. Richard J. Ferrara, Senior MD, and I would like to discuss my book called The Deck of Life and How to Play the Cards You're Dealt. Now, knowledge of the temperaments, which is discussed in this book, will give you insights to your own temperament in order for you to better balance your life for a happier, healthier life of longevity and much less stress. And so you'll notice that on the front of my book are the physical characteristics in diagram form of each temperament that I will discuss today and how it involves your life. Thank you.
What does the title mean, The Deck of Life?
Well, the primary focus of this book is the discussion of the four basic human temperaments or personalities which we inherit. We have no choice in the matter. Now, these temperaments were originally described by a Greek physician called Hippocrates 2,500 years ago. He was a famous and superb clinician and philosopher. The practice of medicine followed primarily his teachings over 2,000 years. They had no scientific or documentation to back up their knowledge other than clinical observation and the followings of Hippocrates. He also created the Hippocratic Oath, which is a moral oath that all physicians take even today, which basically gives an oath that they, in the treatment of patients, will not hurt them at least. Now, the people who followed Hippocrates during the 12th century created the card game called bridge, and they characterized the suits following the characterization of the human temperaments. For example, choleric is the strongest human temperament, and they identified that with spades, which is the strongest suit. The next strongest temperament is the sanguine temperament, and they identified that with the heart suit. The following that are the weaker temperaments, and the next in order is the melancholic, which they identified with the diamond. And lastly, the weakest of all, the phlegmatic, and they identified that with the club suit.
What do you mean by playing the cards you're dealt?
Well, in life as in bridge, you must accept the temperaments that you inherit. You have no choice. And in bridge, you must accept the combination of cards that are dealt to you. Now, by adding up and having knowledge of all the cards in your deck and the temperaments that you inherit, you're able to decide the strongest, the weakest, and how best to play the cards in your life. By this knowledge, you can therefore learn how to strengthen your strong points or rather promote your strong points and strengthen your weak points so that you can balance your life better for a better outcome and a happier, healthier life with much less stress. And also in playing the cards with much less stress.
How can we determine the temperament blend that we inherit?
Well, in the first place, I want to make it clear that no one inherits just one temperament. And also in the game of bridge, the chances of just having one suit dealt to you is infinitesimal. However, it is possible for you to be void in a suit, in cards as well as in the temperament. And it's even rarer to be void in two suits. Most of the times we're a blend of the four temperaments, but in various degrees. And that is what we must observe. If the primary temperament is 50% of that personality, or 50% of the strength in the cards, then we can more accurately, clinically discern what that person's temperament's about. The subdominant should be, the subdominant or secondary characteristic should be at least 30%, but the 20% left, we clinically cannot really accurately determine it. So we can be clinically accurate in observation about a temperament combination 80% of the times, but 100% you must take the profile test. The temperament profile test is 100% accurate in showing you your characteristic blend. The combination of the two over 40 years, I tested over full 400 patients, and I found that I was 80% accurate as compared to the profile test.
Are there other significant associations with the four different temperaments?
Yes, there are. As a matter of fact, each temperament has a preferred color. They have a preferred diet. They enjoy specific foods that others not necessarily enjoy. That's true with the music that they select. It is also true with the musical instruments that they prefer playing, and also the kind of hobbies that they do. And they even have a choice of the season of the year and what climate they prefer living in. Now, the most important association which I observed, which is present on the front of my book, is showing the characteristic built primarily of the caloric, how he is built and what he looks like, and also the primary characteristic, physical characteristic of the sanguine and how he's built. And curiously enough, they're associated with the heart, the spade with the caloric, the heart with the sanguine, and the melancholic with the diamond, and the phlegmatic. Each one of these characteristics have different likes and dislikes. And so it's important, again, to understand your temperament, which is an association with the body built. And this has been documented anecdotally throughout the centuries. And in my studies, I have confirmed, in my opinion, that this is true.
Are the associations with the different temperaments important to understand?
I think they're very important, but what is the most important, in my opinion, is to understand that each temperament, along with their body build, has a predisposition toward certain diseases in the unbalanced person, so that this knowledge will prompt them to better balance their life, to enjoy a happier, healthier life of longevity and much less stress.
Are there other areas of life that the knowledge of your temperament blend is important?
It absolutely is, and I state this emphatically because this book could be a platform for many different authors and interests to develop 100 different titles and 100 different other books. Let's start with just vocation. Each temperament has characteristics that favor certain vocations and certain hobbies. And by knowing your temperament, you will tend to gravitate, you will gravitate anyway, but it's easier to gravitate naturally to your predominant character, to those vocations that the predominant character attract. And so therefore, vocation and temperament is extremely important. The second one is mate. You tend to gravitate toward the mate that fits with your temperament, that complements your weaknesses, and also in which your strengths complements her weaknesses. It's like fits together. It happens naturally anyways. But by knowing your temperament, you tend to gravitate easier. And then the third is, once you're married, you have many bumps in the road, and it helps you to understand how to deal with those bumps according to your spouse's temperament and your temperament and how to deal with it. And then finally, interpersonal relationship. And that's extremely important in business. How to deal with your own employees or even your customers, and knowing their temperament and understanding yourself. And if you understand yourself, you will improve your own self-image and your interpersonal relationship. And then lastly, which is extremely important, is being a parent. We are different from the children we foster. And by knowing their differences and their temperaments and your own, you're able to deal with your children better. Rather than trying to control them according to your own temperament, you deal with their predispositions and their predominant natures and their attractions and knowing them better. So being a parent and having children is extremely important to know and how to deal with temperaments.
Can one change their basic temperament makeup and predisposition to diseases?
Well, the answer to that is this. As I mentioned, you must accept the temperaments that was handed out to you that you inherit. You have no choice. But the answer is to be able to balance your temperaments and so modify that you strengthen your weaknesses. And you strengthen your weaknesses by balancing your life by understanding and following the natural laws of wisdom that was created throughout the ages. This not only involves diet, exercise, and the care of the body, but also the care of the mind. And to understand natural laws of the mind, and then finally natural spiritual laws, which is not confined to any one religion. These are proven, time-tested truths of virtues, which is also present in my book. But one must understand that the answer to longevity is to modify your predisposition by balancing and understanding the basic laws of nature, mind, and spirit.
I understand this book is packed with information on temperaments, body build, and predisposition to diseases. How would this information influence the modern practice of medicine?
Well, that's a good question. In the first place, let me explain that for thousands of years, the practice of medicine was based upon Hippocrates' teachings, and they relied primarily on clinical judgment, observation. There was no technology or science. This didn't really happen until about 100 years ago, of which there was a great boom in technology and scientific discovery. This led to rapid advances in drug therapy, surgery, research, radiation, and chemotherapy for the treatment of cancer. This consequently caused a rapid increase in longevity. People are living longer now than they ever lived. And it is primarily due to the discoveries of technology and science in the last 100 years. However, consequently, they have forgotten a lot in the medical practice in the treatment of the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. They really stopped emphasizing physical diagnosis and relied on primarily testing, scientific testing, and technology. Well, this is fine, except in the last several decades, there's been a little bit of apprehension among people and a little bit of dissatisfaction with the practice of medicine because there is a rapid decrease in patient-doctor relationship. And they feel that medicine becomes very expensive and very commercial and impersonal. Consequently, this has led to the development of another field of medicine called integrative medicine or holistic medicine, where we are now honoring alternative methods of treatment other than just the conventional modern scientific way of treating people. I mean, now we're interested in people who practice acupuncture, who practice chiropractic medicine, herbal medicine, nutrition, vitamins and mineral therapy, psychological counseling. We're interested in physical therapy, in hydrotherapy, in massage therapy, and even in music therapy. There are MDs who specialize in treating terminal people with music therapy to ease their pains and concern. And there's also meditation, yoga, and spiritual counseling, as well as hypnosis. This is all under the title of integrative or holistic medicine. Trying to replace the doctor-patient relationship that has been primarily lost.
Dr. Ferrara, do you have any final words of advice for us?
Well, I'd like to summarize by saying that life can be explained in the simplest manner like a deck of cards. You must accept the cards that are dealt to you and be responsible for the temperaments that you inherited, that God gave you. And you really have no choice but to handle them the best way you know how. And the best way to handle your cards or your temperaments is to have a knowledge of them, a knowledge of what you can do with the strong points as well as the weak points, but also by knowing that there are certain belief systems that will help you manage it, that'll help you to manage your temperaments, body, mind, and spirit, by understanding these belief systems in natural laws and in spiritual laws that have aided people throughout the centuries and will continue so in the future. It is your responsibility to handle your life with knowledge and an understanding of these basic belief systems. And that's it. God bless you.